What if oxygen, the lifeblood of our planet, is being born in the darkest depths of the ocean where no sunlight ever reaches? Sounds impossible, right? But scientists just found a secret so wild, it could change everything we know about life. And if you miss this, you might miss the key to our planet's future. Hey there, I respected Nexus curious community. I hope you're all doing fantastic. Buckle up, because today's video is going to blow your mind and open your eyes to a mystery that's rocking the scientific world. Let's start with something we all take for granted: oxygen. You breathe it. I breathe it. Every living thing on Earth depends on it. We've always thought oxygen comes from plants and tiny ocean algae, soaking up sunlight to churn out the air we need. But what if I told you there's another source of oxygen, one that doesn't need sunlight at all? A source hidden in the pitch-black depths of the ocean, 4,000 meters below the surface. This is the story of dark oxygen, a discovery that's turning science upside down. It's happening in a place called the Clarion-Clipperton Zone, or KCS, a massive stretch of the Pacific Ocean between Hawaii and Mexico. Picture an underwater plain the size of Europe, cloaked in eternal darkness, where the pressure is 400 times greater than at sea level. It's one of the least explored places on Earth, yet it's teeming with life-strange, alien-like creatures that thrive where no human could survive. Here's where it gets wild. Scattered across the seafloor are billions of potato-sized rocks called polymetallic nodules. These nodules are packed with metals like manganese, nickel, and cobalt metals that power our electric car batteries and green tech. But in 2013, marine scientist Andrew Sweetman stumbled upon something bizarre. These nodules might be producing oxygen, not through plants or algae, but through a chemical process we're only beginning to understand. Why is this a big deal? Well, oxygen is the backbone of life. In the ocean, we expect oxygen levels to drop as you go deeper because marine life uses it up, and sunlight-driven photosynthesis doesn't reach those depths. But Sweetman's team found the opposite. Oxygen levels were increasing near these nodules. This discovery, published in Nature Geoscience in 2024, Dark Oxygen Discovery, suggests there's a whole new way oxygen is made on Earth when we never knew existed. But here's the twist. These nodules are also a goldmine for deep-sea mining companies. With metals worth trillions of dollars, the KCS is a hotspot for industrial plans. Yet, mining could destroy the very ecosystems that rely on this dark oxygen. Environmentalists warn that we're risking damage to a world we barely understand, while mining companies argue that these metals are crucial for a greener future. So, we're at a crossroads. On one hand, a scientific breakthrough that could rewrite how we understand life. On the other, a potential environmental crisis if we act too quickly. The deep sea is like a cosmic library full of secrets we're only starting to read. But what happens if we tear out the pages before we understand the story? Let's dive into Act 2 to uncover how this dark oxygen is made and why it's sparking such a heated debate. Okay, let's get to the heart of this mystery. How are these nodules producing oxygen in the dark? To answer that, we need to think like detectives and piece together the clues. First, let's talk about these polymetallic nodules. These aren't just random rocks, they're geological marvels. Over millions of years, metals like manganese and iron slowly crystallize out of seawater, forming these layered, potato-like structures. Each nodule is a tiny archive of Earth's history, packed with valuable metals that make them a target for mining. But their real magic lies in their chemistry. Imagine each nodule as a tiny battery. In a battery, you've got two different metals, an anode and a cathode dipped in a liquid called an electrolyte. When they interact, they create an electric current. In the deep sea, the nodules' metals, like manganese and iron oxides, might act as electrodes, and seawater loaded with ions like sodium and chloride serves as the electrolyte. This setup could generate a small electric current, enough to trigger a process called electrolysis. Electrolysis is like a chemical magic trick. It uses electricity to split water molecules HO into hydrogen H and oxygen O. In a lab, you'd need a power source to make this happen. But in the KCS, the nodules themselves might be the power source. Sweetman's team measured voltages around 0.95 volts across individual nodules, pretty close to the 1.23 volts needed for electrolysis under standard conditions. They hypothesized that clusters of nodules, common on the seafloor, could combine their voltages to cross that threshold, or that deep sea conditions like extreme pressure might lower the energy needed. To test this, the team used benthic chambers, high-tech devices that trap seawater and sediment on the seafloor. They found oxygen levels rising around the nodules, sometimes tripling normal levels. In lab experiments, they placed nodules in seawater, sterilized to rule out microbial activity, and saw the same thing: oxygen production. This suggests the process is abiotic, not driven by living organisms, but by pure chemistry. But not everyone's on board. Some scientists, like those at the University of Southern Denmark, found conflicting results using different equipment, showing oxygen levels dropping instead. Science doubts. Critics argue that the measurements might be off, or that bacteria could be involved. This debate has sparked a new 3-year research project, launched in 2025, with a £2 million grant from the Nippon Foundation New Scientist Expedition. Scientists will use advanced sensors to measure both oxygen and hydrogen, aiming to confirm whether electrolysis is happening and if microbes play a role. Here's an analogy to make this clearer. Picture the deep sea as a dark, quiet forest. You've always thought the only water comes from rain. Then, you find a hidden spring bubbling up from the ground. That's what dark oxygen is: a new, unexpected source in a place we thought was barren. And just like a forest, disrupting this ecosystem could have ripple effects we can't predict. Speaking of disruption, deep sea mining is the elephant in the room. Companies like the Metals Company are racing to harvest these nodules, claiming it's a sustainable way to get metals for green tech. The Metals Company. But environmental groups like Greenpeace argue that mining could devastate ecosystems that depend on dark oxygen. Greenpeace Aotearoa. Past mining tests in the Cachies wiped out 70-80 of local life, with recovery still incomplete after decades. So, what's at stake? A scientific revolution that could change how we see life on Earth, and a delicate ecosystem hanging in the balance. In Act 3, we'll explore what this means for our planet and beyond. Now, zoom out and ask, what does dark oxygen mean for you, for science, and for the future of our planet? First, it's a wake-up call. We've always thought oxygen comes from living things: plants, algae, bacteria. But if rocks in the deep sea can produce oxygen without life, we need to rethink the entire oxygen cycle. This could mean Earth has hidden oxygen sources we've never considered, reshaping our understanding of how life began and thrives. Life science origins. This discovery could change how we search for life in space. Scientists look for planets with liquid water and sunlight, assuming that's where life can exist. Moons like Europa, with its icy ocean, might have chemical processes like dark oxygen, providing the conditions for life. Oceanographic magazine. Suddenly, the universe feels a lot more habitable. Back home, the stakes are just as high. If dark oxygen supports these ecosystems, mining could be catastrophic. The International Seabed Authority is crafting regulations for deep sea mining, set to finalize in 2025 SOA law. Environmentalists are pushing for a moratorium, citing the risk to unknown species and processes like dark oxygen. Meanwhile, mining companies argue that these metals are essential for fighting climate change. Let's paint a picture. Imagine a future where we've mapped the ocean floor, cataloged its creatures, and learned to harness its secrets sustainably. We could develop technologies inspired by these nodules, maybe even batteries that mimic their chemistry. But if we rush into mining without understanding the consequences, we could lose a world we're only beginning to discover. Here's a real-world example. In the 1970s, scientists found hydrothermal vents, underwater geysers that support life without sunlight. That discovery changed how we view life's possibilities. Dark oxygen could be just as revolutionary, but only if we protect it. So, what can you do? Stay curious. Follow ocean research through organizations like NOAA or IOC UNESCO. Support policies that prioritize conservation over exploitation. And reduce your environmental footprint, because every plastic bottle you recycle helps keep our oceans cleaner. Before we wrap up, let's reflect. The ocean covers 71% of Earth, yet we've explored less than 5%. Dark oxygen is proof that there are still mysteries waiting to be uncovered. It's a reminder that our planet is alive, complex, and full of surprises. Could dark oxygen unlock new secrets about life? Should we pause deep sea mining to protect these ecosystems?